Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we have another new brewery to have a look at today, and this is part of my Swedish series of reviews that I'm filming for you over the month of December. So for this one we are going to go to the northwest of Skåne, a little bit to the north of Helsingborg, where I actually bought this beer, and there's a little town called Höganäs there, and we're going to visit Höganäs Bryggeri and have a taste of their APA. This beer is supposed to be really quite nice. It's rated an 80, I think 82, 83 on Rate Beer, so a very good rating, so it should be quite a nice one. And I've heard very good things about this brewery generally. Apparently there's been some big breweries have tried to take these guys over because their beer is that good, but they're refusing to sell, so quite cool to see that actually. But this will be a very interesting beer for us to have a look at. So without further ado then, we'll get on with the review. So as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual website links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that I'll do from Höganäs Bryggeri. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers incidentally, and there's all the usual social media things down there, Facebook, Twitter and Untappd. Please support me through there, and to my Swedish viewers, I do apologise if any of the pronunciations aren't quite right in this video. I'm still trying to learn Swedish and the pronunciation part of it since I've moved here to Lund, but I hope you enjoy the video nonetheless, and don't hesitate to tell me some of the other breweries and beers that you'd like me to have a look at. Some of the beer I've tried here in Sweden so far has been really pretty damn awesome, so I will see if I can get a hold of them. But anyway, as I told you, this brewery is based in Höganäs in Skåne, and it's about 20 minutes or so to the northwest of Helsingborg. A very nice city actually. But this brewery was founded in 2013 by Luke Ostberg and Christopher Smith, but it's also now part owned by garage bar owners Mats Hernström and Kim Brochner, and it's also partly owned by Alex Magnusson, who is Luke's brother-in-law, who's actually very active in the Stockholm restaurant world. But this is a very new brewery, so there's not too much in the way of history yet, but I'm sure there will be much more to come. But the brewery is based in Magazine 36, and they've been working on expanding their capacity quite recently. Apparently they're now producing 16,000 litres of beer per month, and they've got quite a few different styles as well. But the beers have been available through Systembolaget since the summer of 2014, and you can find most of them in the garage bar, which is in the market hall in Höganäs. And the motto for this brewery is high nose beer. The whole point behind this brewery is to produce beer with a lot of flavour, as is the case with most craft breweries actually. But these guys are very well thought of. Like I say, there's apparently been a few bids to actually buy over the brewery, and they've been invited to events at Mikeller and Friends Bar over in Copenhagen, the Malmo Beer Festival and things like that. These guys are very well thought of, so they are very new, but I'm sure we'll see some quite exciting things from them in the near future. So hopefully I can return to them and review a few more beers fairly soon. So just to list a few of the other beers you can get from these guys, there's the African Pale Ale, which was the one I nearly got. There's the Twisted Twin Double IPA, which is supposed to be very good. That's supposed to be their best beer that they do. There's 40-year-old Virgin, Folk Ale, and also the #1 Lager. Folk Ale, of course, as I've explained to you a few times in the videos, is the beer that's available in the supermarket. In Sweden you can't buy any alcohol over 3.5% from the supermarket. All of those things you will find in Systembolaget, which is the nationalised alcohol stores here in Sweden. But incidentally, this year they also produced a beer that's called High Nose Snow for winter. This is winter 2015, and apparently that beer is really good, so I will need to see if I can get back up to Helsingborg and get a hold of a bottle of that. It would be really quite cool to review one of those. But anyway, that's enough about the brewery just now. We'll get on to the tasting of this beer. So yeah, I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. It seems to be, I think they quite like gorillas and the how do you call them, the high apes and things like that. These guys really seem to like their monkeys and stuff. You can see the Höganäs Bryggeri here. I'm not sure if that's meant to be like a kind of hand or something. It's meant to be like the 5 fingers. I'm not sure about that, but the bottle cap is actually quite nice. I do really like the design on this one, and you can see there's the kind of gorilla face, or it's not an orangutan, maybe a chimpanzee, I'm not sure, but they do seem to like their grey apes actually there. So yeah, tells you on the side, American Pale Ale, ingredients corn malt, blah 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 blah, served best at 8 to 12 degrees, so it will probably be about 7 or 8 degrees just now, so I'm drinking it at the colder end. This is a 330 milliliter bottle beer, 5.6% American Pale Ale, but unfortunately on the website it didn't actually list the different hops and things that they put into this beer. I always like to talk about that a bit in the videos, but some breweries just don't list it. So without further ado then, we'll get stuck into this beer review. So this one is the APA from Höganäs Bryggeri in Skåne in Sweden. Oh, so as you can see, a nice kind of smoky and bubbly open in there. I'll we'll just get it out and into the glass. You can actually smell the fruit and the malt coming off of this one. There's a nice, juicy, slightly citrusy fruit coming off this one as we pour it out. Just put the last of it in there and sit the bottle back down, and the bottle cap landed on my knee and it can go there. So yeah, as you can see, this beer is poured a really nice kind of bright orangey amber colour. If I bring the light over, you can see it's actually more of a yellowy orange amber, but it's really nice looking actually, I have to admit, very nice. There's a 2-finger frothy white head there, looks very attractive, some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but actually quite a few little bubbles just visible rushing up towards the bottom of that head, which is starting to fade. It's becoming a bit more bumpy as it's left, but overall it is mainly quite frothy, so this should be a very, very nice beer. So let's give it a smell before we dive into it. There's a nice big orangey citrus from this one. I do wonder if that's Amarillo hop that's in there. Smells distinctly like Amarillo coming out of this one. A nice juicy orangey citrus in there. There is a bit of tropical fruit as well. Maybe a bit of grapefruit, but to me it's a bit juicier than that. There is definitely grapefruit in there, but I want to say there's passion fruit as well. The APA of course differs from the IPA. It's the malt to hops ratio that's a bit different in this one. But there's a good floral and aromatic presence from this one. It's not too pungent. The aroma with this beer isn't all that pungent. For me, the most prominent component of the beer is that nice orangey citrus character, and there's a bit of a kind of sweet caramel malt, maybe a little bit of breadiness coming out of this one too, and maybe a bit more of a sort of cereally, biscuity character. But overall it smells quite nice. Like I say, an orangey citrus in there that makes me really think there is some Amarillo hop in there. There is a bit more of a complex fruit. If you sugar it up a bit more, you start to get a bit more of the grapefruit out of this one. I'm not quite sure what kind of hops in there. I'd maybe guess like Chinook or maybe Centennial or something like that in here as well. But I'm pretty sure there's Amarillo in there. That nice orangey citrus that you get from Amarillo hops coming out quite nicely in this beer. So as I always say, give your beers a bit of a smell before they come off. This one mainly is orange, nice orangey citrus, a little bit of tropical fruit in there, good floral, aromatic, slightly grassy character, but there is a nice backbone of a sweet caramel malt, maybe a little bit biscuity, but definitely a bit bready as well. So yeah, let's get stuck into this beer then. So this is the Höganäs APA American Pale Ale from Höganäs Bryggeri in the northwest of Skåne here in southern Sweden. Skål! The first thing you'll notice about this beer, it's actually got quite an active carbonation, but let's see how that smooths out over the palate as we progress through the beer. I'll tell you something though, there is quite a big hoppy presence in this beer when you first take it in, but it really does. This beer smooths out very nicely. Yeah, this one's quite interesting, not anywhere near as fruity as you would think from the aroma. The middle of your palate is just blanketed with this kind of light, malty, bready character. That just blankets right across the middle of your palate there. On top of that, there is maybe a little bit of a caramelly sweetness, maybe some biscuity character. And it actually there is a bit of dryness in the middle of that malty part of the palate too, which is quite nice. But yeah, there's a big hoppy presence around the edge of the palate here, a big floral aromatic character coming out of this beer, quite prominent, and there is a good bit of dryness on the edge of the palate there. The other thing you can pick up from this beer too, and this is my whiskey tasting coming out, you can pick up the mineral character in the water here. Apparently this brewery have quite an interesting water source that's quite unique to the area. And they say it's hard, which if I remember rightly from my chemistry, is that there's a good kind of strong mineral content in the water here. Usually magnesium and carbonates and things like that, and you can definitely taste that in this beer. There's a really nice mineral content here. There's a big debate among beer reviewers about how much the water makes a difference to the palate, and I have to admit, it really does. It doesn't affect the flavour all that much. There is just a little bit there, but for me, it can really affect the mouthfeel a bit, and particularly the malty parts of the beer if it's a pale ale kind of style like this one. but you notice it in whiskey, and I really do think that the water that you use can play a part. It's part of the chemical makeup of the beer. I think it's like, if I remember rightly, it's 80 or 90% of the beer is actually water. It's all the other ingredients in there are just kind of dissolved in this, but this is very nice. But the mineral content in the water in here really is quite nice, and I do have to admit, being from Scotland, I do like having a big nice sort of minerally water flavour to the beers too, and that's quite nice. But it's obviously that's a minor part of the beer. This beer is all about the hops and the malts. But yeah, one thing I'll say as well, this beer gets a good bit more sweet as you progress through the palate actually. So it's a really nice kind of smooth malty mouthfeel to this one. There's a little bit of caramel sweetness on top there, but as you go around the edge of the palate, there's some floral aromatic character in the back corners of the palate, just a little bit dry. As you move forward, it gets a bit more smooth, but then when you get to the front corners of the palate there's a bit more of a floral aromatic dry character, and it's smooth again as you go around the front corner of the tongue. But you'll feel just behind the front curve of the tongue, there's an oily bubble comes out there. That's where the fruity aspects of the flavour come out. There's a nice grapefruity flavour in there, but there's a good bit of citrus too. It's nowhere near as sweet with the orange citrus that you would think from the aroma, but there is a degree of that, but there's a kind of a sort of grapefruity, more sour backbone to this beer. There is a good bit of tropical fruit in this one. But yeah, I mean, overall, really quite nice actually. The pale ale style isn't one I drink so much anymore. More the IPAs and things that I drink, but in terms of an APA, really quite nice beer, I have to admit, and I can see why these guys, on the basis of this beer, their other beers are supposed to be even better than this, and when this is one of the best APAs that I've had in quite a wee while actually, then I've got quite high hopes for their other beers. So I'll need to try and get a hold of the double IPA and one of their darker beers if they do that as well. So I will try and review that in the future, but if you like American Pale Ales and you like the big floral aromatic flavour in this one, you will like this beer. Really quite nice and quite sessionable. So in terms of the mouthfeel, this one I would say light to mid-bodied is probably a good way to describe this, maybe more leaning towards the mid-bodied aspect. There's a bit more carbonation in this for me, and that helps bring out the floral aromatic elements of the flavour. There's a little bit of oily character, but there's a good malty presence, a big bready character that becomes a little bit more dry as you move into the aftertaste. There's a bit of sweetness in there too, but there's a good bit of bitter and dry hoppy character as well, and that just lingers into the aftertaste. The aftertaste is mainly the floral aromatic character in there, and there is a little bit of the bready and caramel malt flavours in there. The fruit, the sort of tropical elements of the fruit flavour also sit around as well. But yeah, overall it's a really nice APA, and I really hope to get back to these guys and review a few more of their beers. As I say, I don't drink the pale ale style that much anymore. I lean more towards the IPAs and the double IPAs, but it's always nice to go back to this style and see that it is really quite a nice and quite drinkable beer. So yeah, I would recommend that you check out Höganäs Bryggeri. They've got a few different beers. As I said, very new brewery, so there will be more added to that in the near future, no doubt. I'm going to try and get their double IPA and the Africa Pale Ale. They're supposed to be really nice, and I'll review those for you at some point in the near future, and hopefully they produce a dark beer sometime soon as well, because it's always good to see those two extremes when you go to new breweries. But yeah, as always, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Let me know in the comment section below your own thoughts on this beer if you do happen to have tried it before. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. I hope you're enjoying this series of Swedish beer reviews that I'm doing for you. It probably is going to spill a bit over into January, so you'll still hear me talking about December, but I hope you're enjoying the series nonetheless. Let me know your own thoughts on the beers, guys, but I thank you for watching. Until the next beer review, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. I hope you've enjoyed the review, and please go and support me on social media as well. But until the next one, slàinte just now.